Hello and welcome back to this course. Today in this video we are going to discuss about the abstract methods. Abstract keyword is used to declare the abstract method. You have to write abstract keyword before the method name in the method declaration to make the abstract method. An abstract method has no method body. When you create an abstract method, then you don't have to write the body of that function. Instead of curly brackets, an abstract method will have a semicolon. You will have better understanding about the abstract method when we'll discuss about in our NetBeans. Now keep in your mind, if you have a class to contain a particular method, but you want that actual implementation of that method to be determined by the child class, you can declare that method in the parent class as an abstract. Now for example, you have nothing to define in the method in the parent class, and you want that this method should be defined by my child class. So you can declare that method abstract and your child class will have to implement that method. Now let's discuss about the abstract methods in our NetBeans to have a better understanding. So here first of all I am going to create a class with the name account, class account. Now in the body of the account class I am going to type a abstract method. I type here public. Now the abstract method should be public. So I type here public void rate of interest. Okay. So now you get an error on your screen. What is this error? Missing method body or declare abstract. Now you can see I have not created the body of this function. Now if I have nothing to explain in my parent class, I am going to make this method abstract. I type here public abstract void rate of interest. As I created this method abstract, you get another error. You can see here account is not abstract and does not override the abstract method rate of interest in account. Now if you have an abstract method in your class, you must have to make your class abstract. So I type here abstract. Okay. Now if there is one function in the class that is abstract, then you must have to make that class abstract. If you does not make the class abstract, you will get an error message on your screen. So public abstract void rate of interest. So if I create the child class of this class, I type here class saving account extends account. Now again you get error on your screen. Saving account is not abstract and does not override the abstract method rate of interest. Means I have to declare this class abstract, or I have to provide a definition of the rate of interest method in this class. I type here public void rate of interest and provide the definition of this method here. So I type here system.out.println. I type here 6% for instance, like this. I add the override annotation so that I understand that I am overriding this method. I type here override. Okay. I create another class. I type here class current account extends account. Now again you get an error message on your screen. Current account is not abstract or does not override the abstract method rate of interest. Means I have to create this class abstract, or I have to override or provide the definition of the rate of interest method in this child class. So I type here public void rate of interest and system.out.println, for example 5%. and I write the annotation here at override. Okay. Now I have created the abstract class account, and two classes, saving account and current account, are extending the account and providing the definition of the rate of interest in different ways. Now every account has some rate of interest. I basically don't have knowledge about the rate of interest in banking. I am just taking this example to teach you that how abstract methods and classes are helpful in Java. There is a method rate of interest and it has no definition. We are not providing definition of this method in our parent class because there is no rate of interest in account. We don't know what the type of account it is. But in saving account, we know that we have to provide some rate of interest, and we are restricting that if there is account, that account must provide definition of the rate of interest. Now, if the child class does not provide the definition of the rate of interest, then this program is going to give an error. We are restricting that each child class must have to provide the definition of the rate of interest. Every account have different rate of interest, so whenever a class extends the account, that a class must have to provide a definition of the rate of interest. Now one more thing, that in abstract classes you can create both abstract methods and instance methods. Also you can create the instance variables in this class, like you can say private string name, like this. You can also create anything in the abstract class. So I hope you understand that how abstract methods and classes are helpful. In our next video, in which we will discuss about the abstraction, we are going to create another program that is also going to implement the abstract methods and classes and the abstraction, basically which is the pillar of the OOP, and we will create a example that will helpful for you, that how abstraction is helpful in Java. I repeat it once again, that in abstract class you can create instance member functions, instance variables. You can also create the abstract methods in your class. Now how abstract methods and classes are helpful. For example, there is a rate of interest method in the account, and there are child classes of the account classes, for example saving account and current account, and that accounts must have to give the definition of the rate of interest. They must have to provide some rate of interest in their class. I hope you understand about the abstract methods and abstract classes. Okay, so I am going to create the object of the two classes here. So I type here saving account s is equal to new saving account and s dot rate of interest, and current account c equals to new current account and c dot rate of interest. You can see I have same method, but they have different definition in them. Now if I run this program, you will see 6% and 5% on the screen. So in this way abstract methods and classes works. So I hope you understand. So that's it for this video. I will see you in next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. Today in this video we are going to discuss about the interface. An interface is a reference type in Java. It is similar to the class. It is a collection of the abstract methods. In our previous videos we have discussed about the abstract classes and the abstract methods and about the abstraction. An interface is related to the abstraction. It is a pure example of the abstraction. So in this video we will focus on the interface. Now there are some important points about the interface that you have to keep in your mind. You cannot instantiate an interface. Means you cannot create the object of the interface. You cannot instantiate the interface. An interface doesn't contain any constructor. This is a very important point. We cannot create a constructor in the interface. All the methods in the interface are abstract. Now when we create methods in our interface, all the methods should be abstract. There is no body of the methods in the interface. An interface cannot instantiate fields. The only fields that can appear in the interface must be both static and final. Now in the interface you cannot create the instance variables, or you can say instance fields. If you want to create fields, then that field should be final and the static. Both the fields should be static and the final. An interface is implemented by a class. Now, if we want to use the interface, then we must have to implement the interface. Implements help us to use that interface. We will discuss about the implements in our code when we will write our code in NetBeans. An interface can extend multiple interfaces. In inheritance, we learned that we can only extend one class. We cannot extend more than one class. But in interface, you can extend multiple interfaces, and we will extend multiple interfaces in our code definitely. So let's create our example program on our NetBeans to have a better understanding about the interface. So here, first of all, I am going to create interface here. I first of all type interface and then animal for an instance, interface animal. And in this interface, I'm going to create some abstract methods. So I type here void eat and void, you can say color, and void, you can say weight for an instance. Okay, so we have an interface in which we have three abstract methods. And now we know that every animal must eat, every animal must have some color, and every animal must have weight. Whenever we create a child class of animal, that child class implements this interface, and that class must have to provide a definition of these methods. For example, I type here class line implements. Okay, so we extend the class, but we implements the interface. I want to implement the animal. I type here animal. Okay, now I got an error. What is this error? Line is not abstract and does not override the abstract method weight in the animal. We have to override or provide the definition of all the methods in the animal interface. So I type here override annotation, and I type here public void eat. Why I have typed here public? Now in interface, whenever you create an abstract method, then it is by default public. So that's why I type here public. Now I'm going to type a one single statement, system dot out dot println line eats meat. Okay, then I have to override the color method. I type here public void color system dot out dot println, and you can say color of line is orange. Then the last one is public weight, public void weight for, and system dot out dot println the weight of line is, I don't know, basically, as for instance I type 100 kg. Okay, so and you can see that the error has gone from here. Whenever you implement an interface, it is compulsory for that class to provide the definition or to override all the abstract methods in that interface. You can see that I have overrides all the methods in my class. Whenever I create a class, for example, I create another class here like class cat and implements animal, you can see I have to again implement all these methods. So I hope you understand how interface is created and how it is used. Now I create the object of the line class. I type here line L equals to new line and L dot color, L dot heat, L dot weight, and then when I run this program, you will see the expected answer on the screen. Okay, so in this way interface works. Now you can also create the variables inside the interface. For example, I type here public string name equals to any animal. Okay, so by default this variable is public. If I remove public from here, now by default this variable is public, static and final. I can also write here like this: public, static, final. If I don't write these things here, and by default implicitly this is public, static and final. You can also create these variables inside the interface. Now there are some more important points about the interface and that we will discuss about in our next video. And also you have a question in your mind that why we are using the interface. And I will give you an example about the interface and how it is helpful in Java in our next video. So I will see you in next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. Today we are going to discuss about the interface. We have in our previous video we have discussed about the interface, and now in this video we will get into more detail about the interface. Now these are some important points that we have to follow while using the interface. In our previous video we have also discussed about some important points, but these are some others also. So a class can implement more than one interface at a time. We know that in inheritance we can only extend one class at a time, but while using the interface we can implement more than one interface in the class. A class can extend only one class but implements many interfaces. Same thing that we cannot extend more than one class, but we can implement more than one interface in a class. An interface can extend another interface. In a similar way, a class can extend another class. We can also apply the inheritance to the interface. One interface can extend another interface as we do in our classes. So these are some important points you have to understand also while using the interface. Now you may got a question in your mind that why we are using the interface. I will give you an example so that you have better understanding about the interface. Look at this. Above rectangle box, this is the interface. The name of the interface is registration. Now whenever a student go to university to take the admission, then that student must get a roll number, student card and its section. These are the three things that every student in the university get. Now that student may be a BS student, MS student or PhD student. All the students must have these three things. Now what we will do, we create an interface with the name registration, and that interface have student roll number, student card and student section. BS, MS and PhD are the three classes, and all these classes have to implement their registration. And when they implement the registration, they have to provide the definition of the three abstract methods. And we know that the definition of these methods is different for the different classes. For example, in BS, a student have a different roll number, different student card and different section. In MS, a student have a different roll number, different card and different section. Every class can define the method by its own way. So you can see that how interface is helpful in Java. We have created the interface and the all classes using that interface and using all its methods. So I hope you understand how interface is used and why we use interface and how it is helpful for us. So let's create this student program in our NetBeans so that we have better understanding of how interface is used. And also this time we use two interfaces and we extend one interface with another, just for example to have a better understanding. So let's go to the NetBeans and discuss about it. Now for example, I am going to create an interface here. I type here interface. Interface you can say reg1, and in this interface I type here void student roll number. Yeah, definitely I can create all these three methods in this interface, but to show you that we can also inherit the interface, I am going to create another interface station. I type here interface registration, that extends the reg1. In this way, we can also extend our interface. Now I am going to type other two methods. I type here void student card and void student section. Okay, so now we have two interfaces. We have the second interface is the child of the first. Now I am going to create a class here with the name BS. I type here class BS that implements. Now you can also implement more than one interface. We have discussed about it in our slides. I type here reg1 and registration like this. But the registration is the child of the reg1. So I am going to remove this because student roll number is inherited to the registration automatically when we extend the other interface. Now in this body of this class, I am going to override all these methods. Now keep in your mind, we have only implements the registration interface. Now the student roll number is automatically moved to the registration through the inheritance. We know that, so that's why we have to define the definition of all these three methods. So I type here at override, and you can say void student roll number. I type here system.out.println and I type here just bs1 for an instance, and this method should be public. We know that the methods in the interface are public by default, so I type here public. Okay, now I'm going to override the second method. I type here override public void student card, and in the body again I'm going to type a single statement like this: print ln bs student card, just for an example. And the last one was public void student section. I type here system.out.println. I type here bs section A. Okay, so now the BS class implements registration, and we have override all the three methods that are necessary for every student to have: student roll number, student card, and student section. Now I am going to copy this class and paste it here. For the MS, I change here MS, 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 and MS. Okay, I paste it once again for the PhD students. I type here PhD and PhD, PhD, at last PhD. Okay, so basically we have two interfaces. The one is reg1 and the second is registration. We can definitely create all these methods in one interface, but to show you about the inheritance in interface, I have created the two interfaces so that we better understand how we can extend the interface. So we have three methods: student roll number, student card, and student section. And we implement registration. We know that the student roll number is automatically inherited to the registration. So we have to override the three methods: student roll number, student card, and student section, which is compulsory for every student to have in a university. And we have provided a different definition for the different classes, like BS have its own definition, MS has its own definition, and PhD has its own definition. Now if I go to my main function, I'm going to create the objects of all these classes. Then I type here BS bs equal to new bs, and bs dot student card, bs dot student roll number, and bs dot student section. Okay, then ms equals to new ms, and then copy this all the methods from here and paste it here and change it to ms. Then again phd equals to new phd, and paste all the methods here. Just change the phd and phd. Okay, so now if I run this program, you will see BS student card, BS1 and BS section A, MS student card, MS1 and MS section A, PhD student card, PhD1 and PhD section A. So in this way we can use the interface in Java, and we see that how interface is helpful in Java. I hope you understand about the interface. Now also you have to keep all these points that we have discussed in the slides in your mind while using the interface. So if you feel any problem while learning the interface, you can definitely ask me a question. I will definitely help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. Today in this video we are going to compare interface with the abstract class. Many of the students confused with the abstract class and the interface, because I know that these are confusing things in Java. So that's why I have created this video to compare these two, and we also see the difference between them. So first of all, types of methods. Interface can have only abstract methods. We know that in interface we can only create the abstract methods, but the abstract class can have abstract and non-abstract methods, and from Java 8 it can have default and static method also. So this is one of the biggest difference between the abstract class and interface, that in interface we have only abstract methods, and in abstract classes we have both abstract and non-abstract methods. And in the latest version like Java 8, we can also have default and the static methods. We can also write the static methods inside the abstract class. Second thing is final variables. Variables declared in Java interface are by default final. When we discuss about the interface, I have told you one thing, that by default the variables created inside the interface are static and final. So that's why the variables inside the interface are by default final, and an abstract class may contain non-final variables. You can create both instance variables, final variables inside the abstract class. And the third thing is the type of the variables. Abstract class can have final, non-final, static and non-static variables. This is the same thing, that the variables inside the abstract class may be instance variables, maybe final, maybe non-final, static, non-static. You can create any type of variables inside the abstract class. But when we move toward the interface, then interface has only final and static variables. We have discussed it before. And the fourth thing is the implementation. Abstract class can provide the implementation of the interface, and interface cannot provide the implementation of an abstract class. So this is the difference between the abstract and the interface. And now a Java interface can implement it using the implements keyword, and abstract class can extend it using the keyword extends. So this is another comparison between the abstract and the interface. And next we have the multiple implementation. An interface can extend another interface only. For example, interface cannot extend a class. Interface can only extend the interface. And an abstract class can extend another Java class and implements multiple Java interfaces. So this is the biggest functionality of the abstract class, that you can extend another Java class, and as well as you can also implement the multiple interfaces in Java. Accessibility of the data members. Members of the Java interface are public by default. We have discussed about this in our interface video, that by default members of the interface are public by default. But the abstract class can have class members like private, public, protected or default. whatever you want. So these are the some biggest points between the abstract classes and the interfaces. I hope you understand the difference between the interface and the abstract class. Anyhow, if you feel any problem, you can definitely ask me a question. You can message me. I will definitely help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. Today in this video we will discuss about the inner classes in Java. We know that we can create a class, but we can also create an inner class. So let's see how we can create an inner class. So first of all, I create a class here with the name class, and I type here, you can say, outer class, and in this class I am going to create another class. I type here class inner class, like this. In this way I can create the inner class. Now we have some restrictions for the outer class. We cannot make our outer class public. If we want to make our class public, then we also have to change the name of the file, like this time the file name is innerclasses.java. We have to change outer class to outerclass.java if I want to add public here. I can only add public or default here. I cannot add private or protected in the outer classes. But for the inner classes, I can add all the things here. I can add here, you can say private, like this. I can also make this class public, and I can also make this class protected, like this. Okay. So I hope that you know about the public, private, protected, and default. As we have discussed this thing in our previous videos. So now the main thing difference between the outer classes and inner classes is the static inner class. If I add here static, I can also make the inner class static. The main thing we have to focus in this video is the static inner class and non-static inner class. This is static inner class and this is the non-static inner class. Now if I create like this int a, and I create a method void a, like this. Now these are the members of the class, and this time inner class is also member of the class. You can say that these are the members of the class, and this time this class is also member of the class. Okay, so now if I create a non-static class here like this and create a function here like public void, and I type here f1 like this, and this body I type here system.out.println, and I print here inner class function like this. Now how can I access this function in my main method? I go to my main method, and now if I want to create the object of the outer class, I simply type outer class out equals to new outer class like this. In this way I can create the object of the outer class. And now if I want to create object of the inner class, I type here outer class dot inner class in equals to out dot new inner class, like this. In this way I have created the object of the inner class. Okay, so this is the object of the inner class. We first of all type here outer class dot inner class, and then the reference in equals to out dot new is equal to inner class. In this way we have created the object of the inner class. This time the inner class is non-static. You can see here non-static. And now I can call the method like in dot the f1, and when I run this program you will see inner class function like this. Now if I change the class to the static class like this, and now you can see we got an error. So I remove this line. So how I can create the object of the static inner class? And we know that whenever we call the member after the class name, we know that this is the static member of that class. So I type here outer class dot inner class O1 equals to new outer class dot inner class, like this. In this way, I have created the object of the inner class. This time the inner class is the static inner class. You can see here, this is the static inner class. Now I type here O1 dot, I can access the F1 here, and now if I run this program, you will see inner class function. So this is the main difference between the static inner class and the non-static inner class, that if you create the inner class static, you have to create the object by using this syntax like outer class dot inner class O1 is equal to new outer dot inner class. But if your inner class is non-static, then you have to follow another way, that first of all you have to create the reference or the object of the outer class, and with the help of that outer class reference variable you have created the object of the inner class, and then you can access the method inside all the members inside the inner class. So I hope that you understand about the inner classes and what are inner classes and what is difference between the static inner classes and the non-static inner classes. Now for example, if I make my class private here, like I type here private, now you can see you got an error. Inner class has a private access in the outer class. You cannot access the inner private class in your other method, in other class. Like you can see, this class is private in the outer class, so I cannot use this class outside this body of the outer class. I cannot use it in my main method. And also, if I type here static int a, I can definitely use this member inside this class, because now right now this is the member of the outer class, and this static class is also member of the outer class. So I can also add here so I can also use the value of the a here, like this. I concatenate the a like this and initialize a with 10 like this. And now if I move static from here like this, you got an error. What is the error? Non-static variable a cannot be referenced from a static context. Now this variable is the instance variable, and this class is a static class. You cannot use an instance variable inside a static class. You can only use the static members inside a static class. If I remove the static from here, now I can use the instance variable here. So I hope that you understand that what is inner classes and how we can use that. Inner classes can definitely access all the members of the outer class, because at that time inner class is also member of the outer class. So if you feel any problem while understanding the inner classes, you can definitely ask me a question. I will help you. In our next video, we will discuss about the anonymous inner classes. So that's it for this video. I will see you in next video. Hello and welcome back to this course. Today in this video, we will discuss about the anonymous inner classes. In our previous video, we have discussed about the inner classes, and in this video, we will discuss about the anonymous inner classes. So let's see what is anonymous inner classes. I first of all create a class here. I type here class, and the name of the class is, you can say, line, like line, okay. In body of this class, I am going to create the anonymous inner classes. Now keep thinking in your mind that anonymous classes is always our inner class. You cannot create an outer class anonymous. The inner class is always anonymous. You have to keep this point in your mind, that always inner class is an anonymous class. So if I want to create an anonymous class, I have to use the inheritance. The inner anonymous class is always the child class. So what I have to do, I have to create an other class here. I type here class animal, and in this class I am going to create a method. I type here public void, and I type here, you can say, eat. In this method I print a statement. Line eats meat. Okay, like this. So now if I want to create the anonymous inner classes, I go to my another class which is a line, and the anonymous class has no name. if I want to create anonymous class has no name. So how we can create that? First of all, this is the body of the anonymous class, and I have to use the reference of the parent class. So I type here new animal, and we have to store it in some reference. So I type here animal a equals to new animal, and the anonymous class always end with a semicolon in this way. This is the anonymous inner class. You can see that this class has no name. We are using the reference of its parent class like this. And one more thing that you have to keep in mind, we have also discussed this point in the inheritance, that if there is a class A which is the parent class and a class B which is the child class. And now if I create, for example, I type here class A and class B that extends A like this. And now if I create the object like this, I go to main method and type here A s1 equals to new B like this. Okay, so this is small b here. Okay, so now if I create thing like this, now the instance is of the B type, but the reference is of the its parent class. Now S1 can access all the methods in the parent class, but S1 cannot access the method in the child class. In the same way, the animal class is the child class and it is using the reference of the parent class. So we can only use the method declared inside the parent class. We cannot use the method declared in the child class. But when we will override, we use the polymorphism, we use the method overriding. At that time, this thing is decided that which function we want to execute is decided at the runtime. So if we override the function, then we can use the child class method. Otherwise, we cannot use the child class method if we have a reference of the parent class. In the same case here, this anonymous inner class is using the reference of the parent class. So we can only use the methods of its parent class. If I want to use the method of the parent class, then I have to override the method that are present in the parent class. I hope you understand. So I remove these lines from here simply, and I remove also this from here, and I type here at override annotation, and I type here public void eat, and I override this method. I type here system.out.println, I type here line eats meat. I change the string from here like animal eats something, okay, like that. I also create a method here. I type here public void color, and I print a statement here system.out.println, and I type here orange like this. And now I go to my main method, and now if I want to access this method in my main method, I first of all go to the main method and create the object of the line class. So I type here line L equals to new line like this, and I type here L dot an dot eat like this. And now if I run this program, you will see line eats meat. So this is the anonymous inner class. And notice one more thing. I type here L dot an dot, and now I cannot access the colored method inside the main method. You can see color. I cannot access the color method because I told this thing in the previous time that you can only access the method that are present in its parent class. This anonymous inner class is using the reference of the animal class, which is its parent class, and it can only use the method of the parent class. And if I want to define some method here, then I must have to use the overriding. Declaring this method does not make any sense here. This method do nothing. I remove this method from here. So I hope that you understand what is anonymous inner class. I repeat it once again. First of all, anonymous inner class has no name. Second thing, anonymous is always a inner class. Third thing, that anonymous class always a child class of some class. We have to use the inheritance. Okay, these are the three main points in the anonymous inner class that you have to keep in your mind. I create a class with the name line. Then I want to create an anonymous class. Before that, I have to create the parent class. So I create a class animal and create a method inside the animal class with the eat and type here the statement animal eats something. Then I simply move to the class line and create the anonymous inner class. I use the reference of the animal class, which is its parent class. Then I have started the body of the anonymous inner class, and the anonymous inner class always ends with a semicolon. So I type here semicolon. And in this class, I have override the method eat. If I don't override this method eat, then I can only access the method of its parent class. For example, I go to my main method and type here public void color. And this method I print a statement system.out.println and color of animal like this. Now if I go to the main method and type here l dot an dot, you can see I can access the color method which is present in its parent class. You can see that I can access the color. And now if I run this program, you can see the definition of the parent class is executed. If I override this color method in my child class, then definitely the overridden version is executed when I run this program. I hope you understand. So if you feel any problem while understanding anonymous inner classes, you can definitely ask me a question. I will help you. So that's it for this video. I will see you in next video.